I'm not blind, I just can't see.
Where we going?
Hi, my name is Glen N6JAI. I'm a member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and this is a contingency communications trailer that myself and 3 friends built to aid the Coast Guard in times of distress, times of trouble, or an incident, such as the divers that all died up in up north a few years ago. This trailer sits on two hour notice. The Coast Guard calls, I've got 2 hours to get it on the road and get it to start to get to wherever I need to be. One of the things about this trailer is that the mission statement for this trailer was 3.5 pages, and we felt it was important to do a mission statement because that way we wouldn't buy the wrong equipment or insert the wrong equipment and end up having to do it all over again. From the mission statement came the schematics. From the schematics came what we see here. We've got all the creature comforts. We've got enough food for 3 people for 8 days, food and water. We've got a microwave, woohoo! And everything, storage-wise, everything is in the forward part of the trailer. I want to start down here because at this station, this is where the Coast Guard would sit. The active duty member of the Coast Guard would sit. They have 2 Marine Band radios. This radio is hooked to an antenna on top of the trailer, so immediately they can start using this radio. This one goes up on the tower, which I'll show you a little bit later. This is a Part 90 dual band radio, which gives them free access to all the NIFOG frequencies, the interoperability with DHS, fire departments, whoever. All those are loaded in there. This is a radio that the Coast Guard supplied. It came to my house with a note on it, an unsigned note that said, install it in the trailer. Yes, sir. This station is strictly digital. It uses WinLink, VARA, and also has ALE capability, which is why we have the big screen down here, because it gets a little crowded on these smaller screens. So this is a 100 watt VHF amplifier, which is P25, and then this, the Kenwood 590 is the heart and soul of the ALE system. It's a fantastic radio, fantastic radio. And the third station, Glen Voice. That's all they do. The one exception to that is there is a software-defined receiver back there where this person would be monitoring HF-DSC, which is the digital selective calling, because that's something else we have to monitor if we go out. It's just not local. We have to monitor all the HF-DSC frequencies too. The dual bands are so that somebody who wants to come in doesn't have to go down and look like this to see what's going on. They can look up here and see what's going on. The patch panel is designed so that I can connect any radio to any antenna without going outside. It can all be done here at the patch panel. So if you notice, this radio has a number 10, and on the patch panel, there's 10 right there. Well, okay, what's happening? That's because that radio is up here on the antennas that go along the roof. So this radio can be fired up and be used immediately upon arrival. That took some thinking to get that straight in all our minds. It was, while the trailer's being built, I think we had about 3 or 4 technical fistfights over where things should go. And it got a little loud at times because we're all passionate about where things should go and how things should work. And it's not that anybody's wrong. It's just a lot of times there's a better way to do it, and we just weren't seeing it. So we'll go walk outside here for a second. We operate strictly on propane because it's safer. We have enough propane to go for about 8 or 9 days without refilling. So it's a lot of tanks. This is an H-frame, which fits on the top of this tower. This goes up 40 feet. It's completely mechanical. And So the generator is 9 kW, almost 10 kW. It powers up everything in the trailer. There's an uninterruptible power supply in there for the computer. So if we got to change a bottle, we don't lose everything on the computer. So we don't lose the radios are all backed up with a 100 amp hour battery. So we've got time to change things out. So there's no disruption in service because the generator ran out of fuel. Then the antennas that you see down the top of the trailer are the radios that have to be in place and working the minute we arrive. There's the one channel 16 radio down there. There's one major antenna that's missing at the end, which is ADS-B, and I've got a problem with attenuation of the signal on that, and I'm not quite sure. I think it may be because the cable runs are too long, but that's one I got to solve, and I haven't had time yet. The trailer itself is a Carson car hauler. It's 16 feet long, and it is fun dragging it through the mountains when the wind's blowing. Boy, was it fun. And otherwise, most of the stuff is my camping gear and whatnot. And whether we bring food with us or not is really dependent on the mission. And I could get a call. I get a call from either Sector San Diego or Sector LALB. What questions do you have? What's a typical deployment? Typical deployment would be for public education right now. If the bases, Coast Guard bases are next to water, we get a tsunami, I'm going to a fallback position for 3 or 4 days, and the Coast Guard and this trailer will control whatever harbor they're at. Someone the other day asked, why don't you paint Coast Guard, on the side of it? And in my mind, that's poor force protection. I don't want people to know what this is. I want them to take a sniff at it and walk by and never think another thought of it. So it's protecting the people inside, and that's why I don't advertise it. The Coast Guard doesn't have anything like this. And we saw a need, and we tried to fill the need. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you to all my Patreon supporters. You can support me on Patreon. There is a link in the description below. And to all my tankers out there, go forth and conquer.